Hello, and welcome back to the Wild Report. As always, I'm Cleo, I'm your host, and let's get started with what's happening at the Wild Center. Our guided canoe trips kicked off this weekend. Throughout June, they'll be taking place on weekends at 1 p.m., and they'll be running every day starting July and August. Check out our website for pricing and other details. In local news, the Saranac Lake Farmers Market has officially started. It'll be every Saturday in Riverside Park from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Be sure to stop by to enjoy locally grown food, local art, and even live music. The New York State Assembly recently introduced a bill to get a commission for the Winter Olympics to be held in Lake Placid again sometime in the future. There are no further details yet, but stay tuned. Now, let's go to Kathleen with the weather report.
Hi everybody, it's Kathleen with the weather. So today, Thursday, June 2nd, is a bit of a rainy one. Today and tomorrow, if you're visiting the Wild Center, you might get a little bit of a drizzle. Luckily, the next 3 days after Friday seem pretty nice. We are in the rainier part of spring right now, so just be prepared when you come visit us. Bring a poncho, bring a rain jacket, bring an umbrella. Just make sure you're ready for whatever weather may come our way. All right. And now that that's out of the way, let's go see what kind of flowers we can find on the grounds. So as you folks are driving up our driveway into the parking lot, you might be noticing some very lovely flowers popping up this week. So right here before me is a lovely example of the lupin plant, or lupine, or blue bonnet, depending on where you're from. So these are a member of the legume family, Fabaceae. They're really cool. What that means essentially is that they are nitrogen fixers. So they are able to take nitrogen out of the atmosphere and turn it into a usable form into the soil that other plants need, that they're not able to get the way that a nitrogen fixer can. So they're really great for soil health. But these flowers are even more useful than just being beautiful for our eyes. They're actually a very important food source for the larvae, or younger forms of insects, like caterpillars, of some very important butterflies, including a federally endangered species, the Carner blue.
We'll now be going to a brand new Wild Report segment as museum fellow Sally introduces us to some wild cooking.
I am another one of the museum fellows here at the Wild Center, and I wanted to come to you all today to talk a little bit about foraging.
So what are we making today, Sally?
We're going to be making some spruce tip syrup. When you're looking for a spruce, you're going to want to find a tree that has short needles that are coming out all the way around the branch. And this time of year, all of the evergreens are growing in their new needles. And those new needles, that new growth is going to be bright green and a lot softer than a normal evergreen needle.
All right, should we collect some tips?
Sure. So like I said, we're looking for the nice new growth, so the really soft, bright green tips. And we're going to try and collect a few cups of those. And we are nearing the end of spruce tip season, so now is the time to get out and forage. That's one of the fun things about foraging. It's very seasonal.
Love that. Okay, so we've just collected a bunch of spruce tips. Mm-hmm. So what do we do now?
So there's actually no cooking involved in making this syrup. So really all we're going to do is combine about equal parts brown sugar and spruce tips, and then we're going to let it sit for several weeks.
Great.
So we're making a small batch today, but you really can pack it in there. This jar that I started a couple weeks ago was completely full, and as those juices have gotten released from the spruce tips and the sugar has dissolved, it's really shrunk down a lot. So at the very end, when it's all done, you are going to want to heat it up just to kill any sort of bad bacteria or anything in there. And then you can store it. It'll stay fresh on the counter, but it'll stay fresh longer in the fridge.
And then what kind of things are you envisioning making with this? What does it go in?
Yeah, so people use it in mixed drinks.
Okay.
And you can kind of use it just like maple syrup. So you can put it over pancakes, put it over ice cream, any sort of sweet application. We try some of
Absolutely.
this spruce tip syrup.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have any spoons.
So we have
We
spoons.
have spoons now.
All right, now let's try it.
Let's. Oops, cheers.
Cheers. Ooh. That's actually better than I was expecting it. I like it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes very evergreen. It tastes like spruce.
It's
smells.
very fresh. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. So look forward to more. This week's viral animal video is a monkey's reaction to a magic trick. A video that has recently gone viral because of the monkey's hilariously human-like response. Let's see what our animal care staff has to say about the video.
Oh my gosh, he's so confused. The facial expressions are incredible. I don't know what kind of monkey that is, but they are so incredibly smart. I wonder what the mouth means. You know, sometimes mouth opening in some animals can be like a sign of stress or like heat stress, that sort of thing. But I think that was just pure awe at magic tricks.
Now, you've seen enough of Cleo the person. Let's switch over to Cleo the snake and see how she's doing for this week's animal check-in.
That's a good girl. Look at her mandible, the bottom mandible. She has a retained shed. Usually they can get it all off by themselves and they don't need assistance from us, but she did not get it off, so we're going to try and get it off for her without pulling. It's like pulling a hangnail, so you want to be as gentle as possible. But of course she's squirming around quite.
So there are some spots that can definitely be detrimental to the health of a snake if the shed is retained, especially like the eye caps. So they even shed a little bit over their eyes. We can see that Cleo has shed those, so that's good news. And then also down on the tip of the tail can be a common spot for snake shed to build up. And if the retained shed builds up over time, you know, it's definitely not great for the snake. So Cleo is an eastern milk snake. She is one of our program snakes that gets handled by our staff for the public.
Just by gently wiping it, it is coming off. We don't, so we want to make sure. And voila! We have got it all off. Very
All right,
good
Cleo.
girl.
We already got a weight on her today, so we're gonna go ahead and let her right back in her home.
Send you home.
For this week's trivia question, speaking of Cleo the snake, how often do you think snakes shed their skin? Leave your answers in the comments below and check back next week for the correct answer. That's all for now. Be sure to tune in next week for the next Wild Report, and in the meantime, stay wild!